Fellow golden retrievers, if you want to end your evening tied down to a bed being lorded over by someone in fishnets and dark lipstick, pop this playlist on the way back and forth to the restaurant. I'm just saying.
Oh, welcome to episode 215 of Nerdery Murdery.
Big 215, I'm Zig with your nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your Murdery. Welcome to another week of the highs and lows, the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and the nerd and the murd. All right, so apparently we're into sequel episodes now. So we have
Yes.
part two from
Hey,
last week.
dude.
If you haven't listened to part one, which was episode 214, I do urge you to stop, go listen. Make sure
Yes.
you do check out the YouTube playlist as well. I highly recommend the videos along with the music
Mhm.
in a lot of them. So check that out. But I'm ready, willing, and able. So Zig, I will let you kick over to part two of the nerdery side of the house.
Today we are again talking about goth and goth adjacent music. So Gothic rock typically deals with dark themes addressed through lyrics and music's atmosphere. The poetic sensibilities of the genre led Gothic rock lyrics to exhibit literary romanticism, morbidity, existentialism, religious symbolism, and supernatural mysticism. It's all woo-woo and ethereal to boil that down. Gothic rock is an offshoot of post-punk, and according to AllMusic, took the cold synthesizers and processed guitars of post-punk and used them to construct foreboding, sorrowful, often epic soundscapes. Early Gothic rock had introspectives or personal lyrics, but according to AllMusic, its poetic sensibilities soon led to a taste for literary romanticism, morbidity, religious symbolism, and/or supernatural mysticism. So I'm going to start by saying what I left off this list and why. Because I know there are a lot of goth people who are like, why didn't you put any Christian death on here? Why didn't you put Christian death on here? Because way back in the day, before everybody started calling themselves goth or being called goth, they were called D-rockers because they were fans of this band called Christian Death, which was a goth band that was kind of Indian underground. The reason I didn't put them in is because they are terrible. There you go. Send me the fan mail or the hate mail. They're not in here because they're not good. But what is in the list is Lucretia, My Reflection by the Sisters of Mercy. The Sisters of Mercy are an English rock band formed in Leeds in 1980. After achieving early underground fame, the band experienced a commercial breakthrough in the mid-80s, sustaining their success until the early 1990s, when they halted the release of new records in protest against the record company WEA. Currently, although the band operates primarily as a touring outfit, they continue to perform new and unreleased music live. The group has released 3 original studio albums, First and Last and Always in 1985, Bloodland in 1987, and Vision Thing in 1990. Each album was recorded by a different lineup. Singer-songwriter Andrew Eldritch and the drum machine known as Dr. Avalanche are the only constant elements throughout. Eldritch and Avalanche were also involved in The Sisterhood, a side project linked to Eldritch disputes with former members. Left to his own devices, Eldritch recorded Floodland, marking a shift away from guitar-based rock toward atmospheric Wagnerian rock and keyboard-oriented exploration pioneer on Gift. The album was produced by Eldritch and Larry Alexander and contributions from Jim Steinman on 2 songs, one of which is This Corrosion. This Corrosion was a composition that Eldritch had already recorded, if not released, with the Sisterhood collaborations. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Lucretia, My Reflection, which was basically a song he wrote about his new member of the band, uh, Patricia. Oh my God. And there, all of my notes went wrong. Hey, I can't, her name is not coming to my mind. She was a member of the Gun Club and the Bags, and she eventually went on to marry Dave Vanian of the Damned, and she was a member of the Damned
Do
for.
you need another copy of your notes?
No, I don't. I've got it. I've got
Okay.
it. I was jacking with them because I
Oh,
started out doing, oh, let's do this Corrosion. I'm like, no, let's do Lucretia, my reflection, and I fucked up the notes. So,
it's okay.
and her name will come to me before the end of the song. But what did you think about Lucretia, my reflection, and Sisters of Mercy?
So I love Sisters of Mercy. This is a really good song.
Uh-huh.
And as I got into the song, I was like, I would have really chosen Neverland over this one, because that's one I already have in my playlist. And then I
Patricia
got
Morrison.
Patricia Morse. Neverland is already in my playlist because I love Sisters of Mercy.
Neverland's
Um,
on Floodland, right? It's
yeah,
it's also on Floodland. Yeah.
yeah. But then I got farther into this song, and this becomes a great song.
Uh-huh.
As the song goes on, it just gets better and better and better. Sisters of Mercy is good. I since I've been introduced to them, I've listened to their stuff. I love their stuff.
Sisters of Mercy, great band, great. And he's also one of the ones that's like, oh, I don't like being called goth music. I'd rather refer to it as Wagnerian rock. And again, as we said in the previous episode, it seems, and this is not me saying it because I've never worked with the dude. I don't know him. He's kind of assholish from everybody who's ever worked with him. I mean, at one point he said Patricia Morrison didn't do anything on the album. Uh, and I know that's a lie because those are her bass lines. I can tell. She's a phenomenal bass player, but it's all that kind of goth sound, and she kind of pioneered a lot of that stuff. Um, yeah, I love this tune though. Uh, the next song is "Strange Kind of Love" by Peter Murphy. Uh, Peter John Joseph Murphy is an English musician, singer, and songwriter. He is the vocalist for the post-punk band House, which he co-founded with Danielle Ash. After Bauhaus disbanded, Murphy formed Dolly Carr with Japan's bassist Mick Karn, and they released one album, The Walking Hour. He went on to release a number of solo albums, including Should the World Fail to Fall Apart and Love Hysteria. And in 1990, Murphy achieved commercial success with his singles Cut You Up, which reached top 60 on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart. From its single sales, his album Deep also reached number 44 in the Billboard Hot 200. Deep is the third solo studio album by Peter Murphy. He released it through Beggar's Banquet Records in the UK and RCA and Atlantic Records in the US. The album features contributions from Murphy's backing band, The 100 Men. The album spawned three singles: The Line Between the Devil's Teeth, Cut You Up, and A Strange Kind of Love. It did not chart as high as Cut You Up, but in my opinion, it's way more gothy sounding because again, the idea that goth music is it's heartfelt and it's ethereal and it sets a mood and it's beautiful or haunting or both, and I think he kind of achieves that here. But according to him, he's not goth, even though all the goth kids had posters of him on their walls. What did you think about "Strange Kind of Love" by Peter Murphy? Strange kind
Um,
of love.
he's got a great voice. His range is phenomenal.
Hmm.
He's got a very haunting voice. I would have personally picked Cut You Up. I as I go through this list and I'm kind of understanding it a little bit more, I do think Cut You Up is goth. I wasn't sure when I was kind of going through this. I would have picked Cut You Up because that I think that is a phenomenal song.
Everything that Peter Murphy does is goth, even though he says it's not.
Right, right. And Strange Kind of Love was a good song. It really was.
Mhm.
Just Cut You Up is in my playlist already.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know on this one if I would add it or not. It's a good song, but I like Cut You Up so much. I don't know. But good choice.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love me some Peter Murphy. Uh, the next song is "Grenadine" by Dreadlight. Dreadlight is a female alternative hard rock duo from Portland, Oregon. Songwriters Kendra Tolstad and Toria Beck met in high school and began collaborating musically at 14 and 16, respectively. Coming from different musical worlds, the duo are developing a unique sound where sweet harmonies soar over heavy instrumentation and experience pleasantly head bangable. They've been making their mark on the Northwest scene, placing as semifinalists at Sound Off 2018 and playing festivals like Portland Pride. They released 3 EPs in 2019. This is on the EP called Limbo. The other 2 EPs were called Dusk and Dawn. I don't think they were trying to make a goth song when they made this, but they ended up making one. And the video, yeah, that's a goth video. I mean, it's got Little Red Riding Hood themes and werewolf themes, and you taste the blood and grenadine. Oh, and again, this is from 2019, so this is another one that's recent. As I've said, this genre continues to evolve. The bass on this is a little deeper than usually. Goth has high bass like New Order, but oh my god, it fits, and it's such a dark droning sound. What did you think about Taste the Blood and Grenadine by Dreadlight?
This song would have fit right in on True Blood. It was perfect for that. This is a kick-ass song. I agree. I love the Little Red Riding Hood cloaks in the video. As this song went on, dude, I liked it more and more and more and more. So much. Yesterday, I was out running errands, and I listened to this song on repeat constantly.
Wow.
And I would it would end, I would go back. It would end, I would go back.
Like, that motherfucker again.
This is a great song. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that was like, oh my god, yeah, I got to put this one in here. Because again, I don't think they were going for that goth sound, but god damn, they hit it. And again, it's more, as I said before, goth is basically like a suspension bridge. You got a tower over here that is hard, heavy guitar rock, and a tower over here that is mostly synth based and orchestral. Where they're perfect is where those 2 towers meet in the middle of the bridge. But this is more of on the guitar side of it. The next song is Wait for the Blackout by The Damned. The Damned are an English rock band formed in London in 1976 by lead vocalist Dave Vanian, guitarist Brian James, bassist Caps, and later lead guitarist Captain Sensible, and drummer Rat Scabies. They were the first punk band in the United Kingdom to release a single, New Rose. Released as a studio album, Damn Damn Damned, and toured the United States. 9 of the band's singles charted on the UK singles charts. The band briefly dissolved after Music for Pleasure in 1977. The follow-up to their debut studio album was critically dismissed. They quickly reformed without Brian James and released Machine Gun Etiquette. And in the 1980s, they released 4 studio albums. The Black Album, which this song is off of, Strawberries, Phantasmagoria, and Anything. So, beginning with the Black Album, and more so in Strawberries and Phantasmagoria and Anything, they got into this goth sound with Spanish guitars. It is less prevalent on the Black Album, but it's still there. And money for my money, pound for pound, this is probably the best Damn song. Even though the Black Album was not recorded as well as Strawberry, which is amazing, or Phantasmagoria, which is definitely a goth album. Dave Vanian was dressing up like Hammer Pictures vampires at that point. With white streaks in his hair. It was just fucking weird, but awesome. But pound for pound, my favorite is Wait for the Blackout. And it's still pretty dark. What did you think about Wait for the Blackout by The Damned?
This one was a myth for me. This was too punk. We know how I feel about punk. It was too much for me, and I was not a fan of this one.
For me, again, pound for pound, this is it. But if you like If you like more of that, you might check out Strawberry or Phantasmagoria, which is definitely a goth record. This is just kind of at the beginning of it. This is where post punk kind of morphs into goth music.
Yep, and it was too punk. And I apologize if you can hear thunder in the background. We just got a storm roll through.
Yeah, I can't hear anything. You're
Okay.
good.
All right.
The next song in the list is Charlotte Sometimes by The Cure. The Cure are an English rock band formed in Crawley in 1976 by Robert Smith, Lawrence Tolhurst. The band's current lineup features Smith, Perry Beaumonte, Reeves Gabriel, Simon Gallup, Roger O'Donnell, and Jason Cooper. Smith has remained the only constant member throughout the numerous lineup changes since the band's formation, including stints with guitarist Pearl Thompson and drummer Boris Williams, though Gallup was absent for just 6 years of the band's history. So, yeah, Simon Gallup comes in and out, and he's with them right now. The Cure's debut album, The Three Imaginary Boys, along with several early singles, placed the band at the forefront of the emerging post-punk and new wave movements. But they were exploring increasingly dark and tormented styles, beginning with their second album, 17 Seconds, which together with Smith's fashion sense had a strong influence on the emergence of goth rock, as well as goth subculture. They eventually formed around it. Smith introduced more pop into the band's music following the release of the fourth album, Pornography, leading them to worldwide mainstream success. Now, Pornography is considered the goth album. This is not off of Pornography. This is from their third studio album, Faith. The lyrics were based on the book Charlotte Sometimes by Penelope Farmer, which is where you got the title of the song. This is basically the first time they really ever did. I mean, they did Midnight in the Subway pretty early on, but that was just a gag. This is like when they decided they were going to do dark and foreboding music, because it wasn't called goth at the time. This is the first time they did that. It was in Charlotte Sometimes. And it's great because they fill it in this old castle, which they also used for parts of Total Eclipse of the Heart. I don't know, we talked about that. Total Eclipse of the Heart. Hey, they filmed Charlotte Sometimes in that same area. But yeah, so what did you think about Charlotte Sometimes? Sometimes.
I like The Cure. We've done episodes over them, at least one, maybe two.
Yeah.
But Chelsea was on the same page with me on this one because I showed her the list too, and she was going through. She's like, "Oh yeah, love, 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 love." This one was just kind of boring for me. Honestly, I started listening and then I got distracted, and the song never brought me back. It's not one of my favorites of theirs for sure. This was just.
Not so much. You
No,
like Charlotte Sometimes?
No, I like The Cure. I just not this song.
Not Charlotte Sometimes. Maybe I should have pulled something off like The Hanging Garden off of Pornography or something. It's got a much more hardcore drum beat to it. The next song in the list is kind of hard to find. It is Betrayal by Gethsemane.
No, this was easy to find.
Gethsemane were formed in 1992. The first lineup was Katie on vocals, Ian on guitar, and Simon on bass. Simon left the band a couple of months later. Katie moved on to the bass, and Pearl was recruited as the vocalists. A few months later, they had written Between the Line, Ophelia, Heaven to Dust, Sacrifice of Vision, and after an encouraging response and press coverage, they began playing more live gigs. Supporting bands such as The Sins of Flesh, Rosetta Stones, Every New Dead Ghost, and by the time they'd released their first demo tape, Dark Hour, which sold beyond their expectations, received good reviews and was distributed all over Europe by Nightbreed Records. Interested in the band became so great that they introduced an information service named the Crypt Formation Service to publicize their events and release. They coincided with the release of their second demo party, Watch and Pray. This is all in 1992, so they were kind of early Sheffield / Birmingham bands. The next band also is a big Sheffield and Birmingham band. Most of the stuff I had to get from them is from their website. But it is Betrayal by Gethsemane, which was a 1990s goth band, which were, for some reason in the 90s, that sound went a little more underground. It came back up a little later on, but in the early 90s it was underground. But this is one of those that was, the goth kids were into, but nobody else was. And it is Betrayal by Gethsemane. What do you think about that one?
Um, I thought this was more David Bowie at a stage in his life. And this is a pretty cool song. It's not specifically for my playlist. I was able to find it pretty easy. But I can appreciate this song. It was a pretty cool song. It's just I don't know that I would want to listen to this again and again.
I forgot to say that the band is Paul Morgan, Ian Palmer, Katie Helsby, and Bullwinkle on the drums. It was released in 1992 on the Dark Hours album. The next song is Voices by Night Moves. They're again a Sheffield goth rock band from the 1990s. They were active between 1992 and 1996, releasing various cassette EPs and a 1996 album, Violent Blue. The band briefly reformed in 2006, releasing an EP called Static. Voices was on Storm and Sorrow EP released in 1995. It was only available on cassette. But you can find it on YouTube. Some fans did put it out there. Basically, what you're looking at when you watch the video is a picture of the cassette label, which apparently they made a weird digitized picture. Pretty early on. It's pretty underground. Again, they played around in goth clubs, and their stuff got used in DJ booths and stuff like that. So there were recordings of recordings, but they would blend this in. This is also another one of those that's very atmospheric. What did you think about Voices by Night Moves?
This is the one that I can't find, which upsets me because I liked this song from Jump Street, and it got
Yeah.
better and better and better and better as it went along. This is the one. This was more David Bowie
Yeah.
sounding singer, but this is a great song, and I'm very upset I can't get it on Spotify because that's where all my playlists are.
Well, you can always use this one. It's on here.
I can't put it in my Spotify playlist though.
You have to use the YouTube playlist. But yeah,
it's a great song.
Yeah, it is a great tune. I love these 90s Sheffield. Apparently Sheffield and the north of England and the south of Scotland were where goth was happening in the early 90s. God, that's great shit. The next song is Cities in Dust by Susie and the Banshees. They were a British rock band formed in 1976 by vocalist Susie Sue and bass guitarist Steve Severin. They were wildly influential both over the contemporaries and later acts. The Times called the group one of the most audacious and uncompromising musical adventurers in the post-punk era. With ex-Clock DVA guitarist John Valentine Carruthers replacing Robert Smith, who was actually with them for 2 albums. The Banshees then reworked 4 numbers from the repertoire augmented by a string section for the Thorn EP. Enemy praised the project, the power of classical orchestration in this perfect foil for the band's grindingly insistent sound. The new Banshees lineup spent much of 1985 working on the new record, Tinderbox, and the group finished the song Cities in Dust before the album. So they rushed its release as a single prior to their longest tour of the UK. Tinderbox was released in April of '86. Sound Magazine said Tinderbox is a refreshing slant at the Banshees' disturbing perspective and restores their vivid shades to pop pale palettes. Due to the length of time spent working on Tinderbox, the group desired spontaneously and decided to record an album of cover songs Through the Looking Glass in 1987. Now, as you can see behind me, Susie Sue is considered one of the godmothers of goth, right? She only really ever did a few goth songs, mostly when she was working with Robert Smith. But she did decide to do another one later on that Tinderbox album, and that is a song about Pompeii and the volcano exploding. You don't get any gothier than this, and it is Cities in Dust by Susie and the Banshee. What you think about this one?
This one's been in my playlist a long time. I love Susie and the Banshees. I can't think of anything that they do that I don't like. This is a great song. If very very representative of this, but add it to your playlist. Just take my word for it. Just add it.
Yeah, just put
Great.
it in there.
It's a great song. Just add it.
Especially if you like any kind of history or anything, just add it because it's like, oh, yeah, it's Pompeii. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. The next one is "Never Trust a Man with Egg on His Face" by Adam and the Ants. They were an English rock band that formed in London in 1977. Oh, I might as well say Adam and the Ants and Susie and the Banshees were part of the Bromley contingent, which was the earliest adopters of the Sex Pistols. They were basically they're everybody who went and hung out at this club where the 100 Club in London where they played ended up being in bands and shit. And it was Adam and the Ants, Susie and the Banshees, Generation X, which gave us Billy Idol, and some others. They went up north and they had one concert and they did the same thing in in Manchester, which we have spoken about before. But yeah, basically these are all followers of the Sex Pistols. The band existed in two versions, both fronted by Adam Ant between 1977 and 1982. The first phase began when the band was founded in May of 1977 and were called the Ants until November of that year. They later changed their style from punk rock to post-punk and new wave and released one album. The final lineup of the version consisted of Dave Barbarossa, Matthew Ashman, and Lee Gorman, all of whom left the band in January of 1980 at the suggestion of manager Malcolm McLaren to form Bow Wow Wow. The second version of Adam and the Ants included guitarist Marco Pirori, drummer and producer Chris Hughes, and was noted for its use of Burundi drums. The Burundi drums are really important. This band existed from February of 1980 to March of 1982 and achieved significant commercial success in the UK, with their music video receiving airplay on MTV and Ant appearing as guest VJ on the station. They are associated in the United States with the Second British Invasion. This is off of Dirt Wears White Socks. It's the debut studio album by Adam and the Ants, and it was released on November 30th of 1979 by record label Do It, and it was the first #1 album on the UK independent charts, which we mentioned. And I have one question about it: who the fuck is Dirk, and why is he wearing white socks? But it did debut in the charts, and this was one of the singles off of it. That Burundi drum beat, that there's this weird tribal drum beat in it. And this is where the goth music takes that sound from. They didn't do goth very long. It was this one fucking album. And they consider it post-punk, not goth. But it's about murdering someone on the street. You know what I mean? And it has that beat and interwaving guitars and stuff. What do you think about "Never Trust a Man with Egg on His Face"?
Stupid question. Adam and the Ants, Adam Ant, any relation?
Yeah. Adam Ant used to lead the Adam and the Ants.
Okay, no, just dumb.
And then the first version went off to form Bow Wow Wow. The second version got tired of dealing with him, and he just became Adam Ant.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't find anything special about this song. I didn't really like this one. This one was I Steven skipped through this song trying to find something to like with it, and I just couldn't. I had to move on.
Right on. The next one might cause some controversy. The reason I put it in is Steve Kilbey was trying to write a goth song when he wrote this song. And I think, in my opinion, he succeeded. But it is "Under the Milky Way Tonight" by The Church. They are an Australian rock band formed in Sydney in 1980, initially associated with new wave, neo psychedelia, and indie rock. Their music later came to feature slower tempos and surreal soundscapes, reminiscent of alternative rock, dream pop, and post rock. Glenn A. Baker has written that from the release of "She's Never Said" single in November 1980, their unique Sydney originated entity has purveyed a distinctive, ethereal, psychedelic tinge sound, which has alternately found favor and disfavor in Australia. The Los Angeles Times has described the band's music as dense, shimmering, exquisite guitar pop. The founding members were Steve Kilby, Peter Kappas, Marty Wilson Piper on guitars, and Richard Plug on drums. They came to LA and really reacted against the place because none of them liked it. They hated where they were living. They hated driving around LA. So they went back to Australia to record Starfish. And when they got back, they were just much happier in Sydney. So they recorded some of the songs of Starfish are North, South, East, and West, Lost, Reptile, and Destination. Destination being a little more gothy, but it was released in April of 1988. As I said, Steve Kilby was trying to basically write a goth song when he wrote this, and they did not expect it to go mainstream. They actually figured Destination would be the big hit in the UK, in the US and the UK, not Under the Milky Way Tonight. So they quickly made a video for it when it started charting. So you got the song before you got the video, because they weren't intending to send it out as a single, but K-Rock in LA had been touting their previous album, which they basically recorded there. So when they got Starfish in, they popped that song on there and it took off. And it played on the indie stations. It played on the fucking pop stations. But it's this ethereal sound, right? So again, we've talked about this. We've got the two pillars of the bridge, right? Right. You've got this ethereal sound over here. You got this heavy guitar sound over here. And in the middle where they meet, you get Under the Milky Way Tonight. What do you think about this song? You know what? I know what you think about it.
This one's been in my playlist.
It's still its virtues.
This has been in my playlist for a very long time. As you said, this hit the pop stations in the 80s. I was very familiar with this song. It's a great song. I keep meaning to remember to try this one at karaoke. All the notes are within my range.
Yes, yes, they are.
Which reminds me, I kept meaning to tell you, the last karaoke we had at the club last week before, I can't remember which. I wish you had been here because so it started at 6, it ended at 10, and there were a total of 3 singers.
What?
Myself and 2 other ladies. The 2 ladies each did 1 song. I sang the rest of the night. I was singing all night long. You would have loved it. You could have just sang and sang and sang.
I could have pulled out weird stuff. Hey, I'm gonna do Never Trust a Man with egg on his face.
You know, I waited till the kids were gone before I did Sweet Transvestite. But yeah, I sang all night, and it was funny. One of the guys I golf with, he was talking to me later. He goes, "Dude, I was sitting there with my back to the bar, and I was like, good Lord, who's singing? Oh my God, that's Geoffrey singing." And it was fun. You'd have loved it, like I said, because you could have just sang all night long, and that's
all night long.
But this song is great. I really want to try doing this one on my own. Under the Milky Way is a great haunting song, and this is like Cities in the Dust. Just go add it to your playlist. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Just go at it. It's a great song.
Oh, hey, and while you're at it, check out Destination too. Just do yourself a favor. But yeah, that is it for goth and goth adjacent songs.
Well, my final verdict, it was a great choice of a music genre. As I said, I think in the last episode, I didn't realize that I liked goth music. I wasn't expecting this. I thought it was all very dark and brooding, but it's not all. This music is pretty fucking great. I added a bunch of them into my playlist if I didn't already have them. There was only a very small number in the list that I didn't care for. So nice work. Nice work.
Yeah. Well, and again, there's going to be people saying, well, you should have put some Christian death. You know what? Christian death are not very good. They never have been. They were all style, no substance. And I was looking for substance. And I was also looking for places where this music crossed into the mainstream and people didn't realize what it was. It's like that. It's like the punk and punkabilly. It's like when I say punk rock, I'm not talking about the Sex Pistols. I'm talking about Reverend Horton Heat and the Descendants and stuff like that. And it, to me, it's a wide genre, and it got a bad rap, just like goth does. I think goth music has a bad rap.
Agreed.
Because
I agree
because
now.
they're easy to point at and go, look at those freaks over there, and they're easy to sensationalize. And journalists
Which is exactly what I thought going into this.
Journalists, by their very nature, are lazy people.
Dad joke warning. You wanted substance. Why not just go pick up New Order? Ha, 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 ha. I got you to giggle. Dad joke warning. Dad joke warning. We do have an episode over that. Go back, listen to it. New Order, Substance. Anyway.
Yes. Did we actually do Substance? Did we do all of Substance? We should do Substance. You know what? I should do both of them. I should do Joy Division Substance and New Order Substance.
Sure. Why not? I'll listen to both of them. Yeah, I agree. I had the same thought about goth music. I did not expect to like this music. Some of these, Susie and the Banshees, The Church, I didn't even know was goth. So that's part of it. I didn't realize they were. But as I listened to some of them, it's just like, wow, these are really cool. I like this stuff. Dread Like Grenadine, over and over and.
Mm-hmm.
I was out running errands for 3 hours yesterday and listened to that song on repeat.
For 3 hours? Damn.
Yeah.
You did like that song.
I really, 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 really like that song a lot. But yeah, go out, listen to this. Watch the videos with it. Check out the YouTube playlist. Definite watch along with it, but listen to these for yourself. Let us know what you think about these. Give us comments. Let us know what other genres you're interested in. Zig loves doing these playlists. I love critiquing them. Go out, give it a shot and tell us what you think. But I appreciate it. Thank you for your work on that one.
Thank you.
With that, we will step over to the murdery side of the house.
Murder.
So today I got my information off Medium, Wikipedia, and the Innocence Project, and this is the story of Todd Willingham.
Todd Willingham.
As I had mentioned in our last episode, there's going to be an argument here at the end. I guarantee it. I do have a point to get across before we step into the argument. But we had done an episode a few weeks back where we hotly debated the merits of the death penalty. One of the points that Zig had in that argument is not only is it a deterrent or not, but what about the innocent people that are put to death? What are the consequences of the people that had this person put to death? So, forewarning, that story is possibly about an innocent person. Let you decide for yourself, but let me jump into it. Todd Willingham, 2004, Cameron Todd Willingham, he was a 36-year-old father. He was executed by the state of Texas, of course, for setting a fire that killed his 3 children. More than 20 years later, many experts believe he was innocent. On December 23rd, 1991, there was a house fire in Corsicana, Texas, which claimed the lives of 3 young children. Their father, Cameron Todd Willingham, survived the blaze, but within a matter of days, he would become the primary suspect in the death of his own children. 13 years later, he would be executed for the crime. Years after his death, all evidence points to a single conclusion, that the state of Texas executed an innocent man. He was born in Ardmore, Oklahoma on January 9th, 1968. He spent most of his life in the small.
Oh, wait, he was an Okie? He was an Okie? Meh.
Originally.
I'm sorry, that's terrible.
Uh, that's a Texas joke. Those of you who don't live in Texas don't understand. Texas and Oklahoma have this fierce rivalry, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to disparage any of our Oklahoma listeners out there, but there's the joke in Texas. Why does Texas not fall in the ocean? Because Oklahoma sucks. There's that. Um. Oh, which by the way, I'm going to take a pause here real quick. Where was I? Where was I?
Yeah, shout out to Oklahoma. Actually,
Shout out
it's
to
a really
Oklahoma.
beautiful place.
It
Yeah.
is a beautiful place. Um, Interesting. I was looking. It's been a light day so far, but on our listeners this morning, because episode 203 came out as of this morning for us. We have a listener in Hemelsky Oblast and Daka
That's
Daka
Russia, baby.
and Daka Daka
Daka Daka,
Daka Daka. So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, so
Samarkand Oblast.
hello
That's
to Russia,
Russia.
hello to Russia, and hello to Daka Daka.
Daka Daka, Russia. What's going on?
So Todd Willingham spent most of his life in the small town Texas town of Corsicana, which is less than an hour southeast of Dallas, for those of you who are
Yeah,
looking at a map. He was raised in a working class family, and he was sometimes described as being a bit rough around the edges.
best
He
fruitcake in the world comes out of Corsicana too.
Okay, that's a quantitative statement if you consider fruitcake good or not.
Like most fruitcake is not the Collins Street Bakery fruitcake with the real fresh pecans that they grow out back. Oh my
No,
God.
I'm not a pecan fan, so wouldn't be good
Oh
for
yeah,
me.
you don't like pecans, you probably won't like it.
No,
It's very
no, I'm
pecan.
not a pecan fan. He was said to have a propensity for partying, and had engaged in petty crimes in his youth, but he had never committed any acts of violence. As a very young man, he met a woman named Stacy Kuykendall, and they began a relationship. They soon welcomed their first child, who was a daughter named Amber. Cameron was 21 at the time. A year later, they had twin girls named Carmen and Cameron. And in the fall of 1991, Cameron and Stacy married. And they and their three children resided in a house off West 11th Street in Corsicana. So on December 23rd, 91, just 3 months after Stacy and Cameron were married, tragedy would strike as Stacy was out shopping for last-minute Christmas gifts. Cameron was home with their three daughters when a fire broke out. He managed to escape with only minor burns, but the young girls became trapped inside. Neighbors and first responders acted quickly, but all three children succumbed to smoke inhalation before they could be rescued. Cameron seemed beside himself with grief. He told investigators he was sleeping when the fire started, and that when he awoke, the house was already engulfed in flames. He said he tried to get to his daughters and rescue them, but he was unable to reach them. Authorities at first operated under the assumption this was a devastating but entirely accidental tragedy. Then they noted minor but curious inconsistencies in Cameron's story. In the days following the house fire that claimed the children, arson investigators searched the remains of the home. They examined the burn pattern and noted puddle-like stains on the floor, leading them to believe an accelerant had been used. They concluded the fire was not accidental and that it had been intentionally set. Shortly after the examination of the scene, the official ruling of arson came, and
Mm-hmm.
being the only person over the age of 2 who was known to be home at the time, Cameron was immediately cited as the culprit. Authorities arrested Cameron and charged him with capital murder. Cameron maintained his innocence from the beginning. There was no physical evidence to support the charges that he had set the fire. The case against him moved with remarkable speed, and the trial commenced shortly after he was arrested. The prosecution painted a horrific picture of Cameron, one that his family vehemently opposes. According to the prosecution, Cameron was often violent and abusive towards his family, and he was a selfish man who regretted his children and wanted to be rid of them. The prosecution relied on the findings of the arson investigator, but also used key witnesses, including Johnny Webb, who was an inmate who had been in jail with Cameron. According to Webb, Cameron had confessed to starting the fire. His testimony claimed that Cameron had started the fire to conceal severe injuries or the death of one of the children. Webb stated that Cameron had burned Amber with a wadded piece of paper to make investigators believe the children had been playing around with fire and could have accidentally started it. However, There were no burn marks found on any of the girls' bodies that would have supported this. Years
Hmm.
later, Webb revealed that he might have been mistaken in his testimony and that he'd been taking numerous medications at the time for his bipolar disorder. The defense itself had very little to stand on. The only other potential witness to Cameron's guilt or innocence were his daughters, who had all died in the fire. And although Webb's testimony was later found to have been offered up in exchange for a reduction in his sentence, and there was no physical evidence to point to Cameron's guilt, the trial was quickly concluded, and Todd was found guilty of capital murder and sentenced to be executed. He was immediately sent to death row to wait his execution. His family supported him, including his stepmother, Eugenia, who continued to fight to prove his innocence. Cameron and his defense attorney filed multiple appeals, but they were all denied. But as the date of his execution loomed, doubts about his guilt increased substantially. In early of 2004, Dr. Gerald Hurst, who was a renowned arson investigator and chemist, reviewed the case. His conclusion called the results of the initial investigation into question. And according to Dr. Hurst, the methods used in the original investigation were outdated and have since been discredited. Dr. Hurst maintained that these discredited means of arson investigation are unreliable and believed the fire could have easily been accidental. As for the accelerant that was allegedly found during the initial investigation, its presence has been confirmed by chemical testing. However, it was only verified by chemical analysis on the front porch, and the Willinghams had a charcoal grill on their porch, which could easily explain why traces of accelerant were found there.
Yeah,
Dr. Hurst, go ahead.
yeah. You're using lighter fluid to light the charcoal.
Mm-hmm.
It gets on the ground.
Yes. Dr. Hurst was convinced that the fire could not be ruled arson with any degree of certainty. He compiled his findings into a report, which was then brought to the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles, and then to the desk of then Governor Rick Perry.
Governor Goodhair.
Governor Dickhead. I'm sorry, no politics here. Despite the findings.
Well, okay, I can't say that we don't have nice names for any of our governors, even the ones we like. We all make fun of them.
No,
Our current governor is called Hot Wheels. Our last governor was called Governor Goodhair.
Yeah.
Before then, it was Prince George, and before that, it was Anna Banana.
Yeah, Lan Richards.
Yeah, we make fun of our governors here, and like somebody got into trouble for calling Abbott Hot Wheels. I'm like, dude, that's the nice name. The mean name is way worse.
Oh, I know. The majority, the state capital of Texas is Austin, and that's where the government seat is. And the majority of the citizens of Austin hate our governor, which is so wild that that's where he resides, because the majority hate him. Anyway, despite the findings of one of the top experts in the field, the state of Texas did not budge. On February 17th, 2004, Cameron Todd Willingham was executed by lethal injection at the Texas State Penitentiary. He was 36 years old. He never once changed his story that he did not start the fire and he did not kill his children. And then in December of 2004, several months late, 10 months after he was executed, the Chicago Tribune published an article on the case, providing a comprehensive analysis that brought public attention and increased scrutiny. In 2009, an article published in the New Yorker asserted that recent advances in arson investigation analysis from experts pointed to Cameron's innocence. In 2011, there was a documentary entitled Incendiary, the Willingham Case, which spanned the speculation even further. As more people learned about the case, more people came to believe that Texas had executed an innocent man and a grieving father. The case became bigger than Cameron's story alone. It became a symbol of the deeply flawed nature of the American justice system and, by proxy, the ethical implications of capital punishment. In 2018, a biographical drama entitled Trial by Fire premiered, and the film tells Cameron's story through the lens of...
Terrible pun. Oh, okay, that is a pun in terrible taste. Please continue.
Yes. This film told Cameron's story by Elizabeth Gilbert, who befriended Cameron while he was on death row. and the film highlights how Elizabeth came to question Cameron's conviction and her fight to seek justice on his behalf. And in early 2025, 21 years after Cameron was executed, Trial by Fire was brought to Netflix. It quickly rose to the #1 spot on the platform, bringing Cameron's story to a new and much wider audience. And naturally, this has reignited attention into the case, and many believe that Cameron was wrongly executed for the crime he never committed. Whether Todd Willingham is truly innocent, it's a matter of significant debate. In 2009, Texas officially ordered the case to be reexamined. This led to the Texas Forensic Science Commission bringing in Dr. Craig Byler to examine the evidence, and he agreed with Dr. Hurst's 2004 conclusion that the fire could not definitively be ruled as arson. The original prosecutor of Cameron's case in the city of Corsicana released statements in response to this, and both maintained their position that Cameron was guilty. The Texas Forensic Science Commission never met to formally discuss the finding of Dr. Byler's report, as 2 days before their meeting, Governor Rick Perry replaced the chair with a hand-selected individual, John Bradley, who then canceled the meeting. There have been numerous other articles and reports in the years following Cameron's execution that also point to him being innocent, and still there are some, including his ex-wife Stacy, who believe Cameron was guilty as charged. In the end, even scientifically backed reports and the most credible expert could not spare Cameron's life. If he was truly innocent, then he likely spent each day alone in his cell on death row, awaiting the final days of his life, lamenting the loss of his children, and suffering under the crushing guilt of not being able to save them. So, here we go. I am going to ask my illustrious hetero life mate to please hold comment till I finish. I have a soapbox to get on. Recently, we had a giant debate on this show whether the death penalty should be legal, and is it legal murder? I hate stepping on a political debate, but here we go. Is abortion legal murder? And so I want to look at those cross cases. And I'm going to say this. Before I started into this, I wanted to say I am not pro-life. When it comes to abortion, I'm not pro-life. I'm also not pro-choice. But as I think about it more, I guess I'm pro-choice, because my whole opinion of it is I think the government needs to stay the fuck out of it.
One cock, no vote.
Right. So what's the difference between the death penalty and abortion? For both, it's the intentional termination of a life. There's the argument that if we had a jury, a judge, and executioner of the death penalty, and the arresting officer are all party to the final penalty of death, and that person turns out to be innocent, should they be held guilty and put to death as well? So is the death penalty murder? And if so, are the parties involved guilty of murder? That was kind of the debate. For abortion, are we legally murdering life as well? The debate comes into play when we consider, when does life begin? Most biologists, Catholics, evangelical denominations believe that life begins at conception. At that moment, a new genetically distinct organism is formed with its own DNA separate from both parents. Some, however, believe it begins at consciousness, which is around 22 to 24 weeks, and some propose birth as the threshold. Judaism, for example, does not consider the fetus to be a full person until birth, and that the mother's life takes precedence.
Always. It's a commandment.
Islam believes the soul enters at about 17 weeks. Most laws do not define life at conception for legal purposes, but some states are doing so now. So that brings up the case. Abortion ends the life of an innocent unborn child who has committed no crime, potentially, if they're considered a life. According to the World Health Organization, approximately 73 million abortions happen every year. Just to show these numbers, an estimated to 70 to 85 million people all died in World War II. The death penalty is generally reserved for the most heinous of criminals who themselves have taken an innocent life. Amnesty International reported that at least 1,518 confirmed executions happened in 15 countries in 2024. Since 1973, the U.S. has executed over 1,600 people. The latest studies show that approximately 4% of the people sent to death are actually innocent. 100% of the babies aborted are also innocent. But again, when does life begin? That's the biggest debate on this one. Or do we prioritize the mother over the unborn child? With that, I will ask this, though. What if that child grew up to cure cancer?
What if that child grew up to be Hitler?
That was my next point. I had that exact thing.
Sorry, I did step on you.
You stepped on me. I told you, don't interrupt me. That was my exact next point. What if they grew up to cure cancer? What if they grow up to become the next Hitler? That's where the debate goes on this. We've talked about on the show before. I am for the death penalty. Zig is not. I am not for or against abortion. I'm very undecided on that. I see both sides of the table in the argument, and I have no sway one way or the other. Should the death penalty be legal and abortion not? Should both be legal? Should both not be legal? That's the giant debate, and I don't think one that we're going to decide here.
Yeah.
Stepping off my soapbox now.
I don't think they're the same thing at all. I really don't, because that child cannot. That is not a child. That is a clump of cells. Until that child can stand up and walk and breathe, it is not considered a citizen of the United States. Citizenship starts at birth, legally. Because you can't be charged for child support until the day that child is born. Legally.
But
legally.
But ethically.
Ethically, the mother's life. The mother's life or the mother's need to carry on supersedes that clump of cells, because that clump of cells can't do anything. It's not a person, and it in 6 months or in 2 months it might self-abort itself anyway. In most cases, most pregnancies end in a self-abortion anyway, scientifically speaking.
On the opposite side of the equation, you say that those clump of cells can't do anything. Those clump of cells do have the ability to nourish. It's not necessarily eat from the mouth, but they have the ability to take in nourishment. It has its own DNA. It develops brain waves. It develops a heartbeat. So the debate goes: why is that not life? Why is birth where life begins? And that's where the debate is. And like I said, I'm not on one side or the other.
Yeah, again, ethically speaking, you can take your ethics and, no offense, but stick them where the sun don't shine. Legally speaking, that is not a person. The person that was executed wrongly is a citizen of the United States. So I would like to discuss it.
No. You can't say that, because executions happen all over the world.
Exactly.
It's not just U.S. citizens.
Yeah. Okay. We are specifically talking about executions in the United States, and specifically in this case, Texas.
Yeah, it was.
We robbed that dude. If nothing else, that dude was robbed of his civil liberties.
Potentially.
Civil liberties.
If he's innocent, yeah, potentially.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter that there was not enough evidence to convict him properly. They had to force a confession out of him. And more than likely, sorry, I'm rubbing this thing.
No, they didn't force a confession out of him.
Making the thing on my nose go away.
No. He didn't. They didn't force a confession out of him. He never.
I thought you said they forced a confession out of him.
His cellmate said he confessed.
Oh, okay, all right, I'm with you now.
The police investigators never got a confession of him. He never gave an official.
I didn't start that fucking fire. Yeah.
No. He maintained his innocence his whole life.
Is it possible he could have accidentally started the fire?
Well,
he may not even know.
That was one debate. That was one debate, that he could have accidentally started the fire.
And again, he might not even have known that he started the fucking fire. Cool. And I just looked up. I went on Google Maps and looked at that neighborhood, West 11th. Those are all 1930s and 1940s stick-built houses. I would be willing to bet there's probably gas dearborn heaters, especially when this went down, because I had them in my house, built in the 1940s. It was Christmas time. Yeah, Christmas time. I bet them heaters are running. I bet they had Dearborn heaters. I bet them heaters are running, and I bet that's what started that fire.
Well, let me play devil's advocate on this case too. 1991,
Uh-huh.
was it a real tree? Was it a plastic tree? Were the lights possibly should was there a short that maybe started?
Was the tree dry?
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate. It could have been any number of things. Was he innocent or not? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I presented this case because I found it a very interesting case,
Yeah.
and especially because there is a large contingency that is starting to say that he was probably innocent. Um, there's a lot of debate surrounding this one.
There's a guy facing death row now for shaken baby syndrome, which
Mm, mm,
is not a thing. It's not really a thing. Shaken baby syndrome it's been debunked
mm, mm, mm.
recently, and he's still on death row right now. And he's like, dude, I tried to save that kid.
Yeah.
I tried to save that kid. And this guy may have passed out due to smoke inhalation trying to save those babies.
Right, right. This is a debate we're not going to solve here, and I didn't do this story to spark this debate. Just as I read through this story, I was like, here's some interesting points. Here's some thought-provoking thing, and that's what
Yeah.
I urge of you. I don't want any one person on this show to go, oh, Zig's right, oh, Geoffrey's right. I don't want you to do either. What I do want you to do is think critically. I think if you
Mhm.
take anything from any of these debates, because I love Zig to death. He can punch me in the dick and I'm still gonna love him.
Yeah. I would never punch you in the dick. Ass maybe.
But I urge you to think critically. Zig's got some points. I've got some points. Who's right? Who's wrong? It's probably me.
Yeah.
But think critically on this kind of stuff. Don't just take because someone said so as your own source of truth.
Yeah.
Do your
Yeah.
research.
Yeah.
Think
I'm
about
not
these things.
involved in this case. I just heard about it.
Yeah, yeah. So
I would definitely say though, if we have decided to put people to death in the state of Texas, we're gonna talk about the state of Texas. That's where we are. You and I both, even though we're 1,000 miles apart.
yeah,
We're still in the state.
it's only 500.
500. Sorry. Okay. Um, we better be damn sure that we are correct about it.
I agree on that. I absolutely agree on that. We need
And
to
if
be.
if there is an actual question on it, like in this case, they had several experts go, "Hey, maybe we should put a stay on this." We should automatically have a stay on it and just go, "Wait,
And so
everything
you have to,
stops."
and so you have to define that too. What is
Yeah.
that questionable piece of evidence? Because the whole letter of the law, in order to convict somebody in a criminal trial, regardless of the crime, to
Mm-hmm.
convict somebody in a criminal trial, the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the person is guilty. Versus a civil trial,
Mm-hmm.
teaching law here, a civil trial, you only have to prove beyond a preponderance of guilt,
Yes.
which is a lot lesser amount that you have to prove according to the law to a jury.
Well, and man, juries in Corsicana, Texas. All right, I'm about to get some more hate mail. No offense. But out in the middle of Texas, and Corsicana less so now, but in the 1990s, some of these small towns, let's just say their education was based around football. And there are generations of these people who grow up that are dumb as shit.
Zig's email can be found at zig@nerderymurdery.com. You wish to send him the hate mail, please do. I love all of our listeners. I don't care where you live or your level of education. I love all of you. Zig again is zig@nerderymurdery.com. His phone number is no. So anyway, that's the end of my story for this week. That's the story.
Thank you.
Todd
Thank you for that.
Willingham.
I appreciate that, sir.
You're welcome.
That will take us to the end of another recording week. Love or hate us, you can find us at nerderymurdery.com. That's our hub. That's our everything that we talk about. You'll find links to this episode, pictures of this episode, as well as the link to our YouTube page, which digs so often updates, and you can find the playlist of every music episode we do.
Yes, please go and check these two out specifically. I think you guys will really enjoy them.
I would have to agree on that. You can also find the link to our merchandise page, or if you wish to show off your Nerdery fandom, please do consider purchasing something from there. You'll also find the link to our Patreon. Our patrons, along with our purchasers of merchandise, do help that are with the costs that are associated with this show. It helps us, helps others find our podcasts that are looking for the information that we discussed. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. One thing you can do for free is please leave a 5-star review wherever you can. It really helps us, helps others find our content that are looking for the information we discuss. And I just repeated myself because I said that a minute ago.
That's fine.
But last, but certainly not least, Chuck, you can go to sleep now.
Good night, Chuck.
With that,
I have been Zig with your nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your murdery.
Cue the music.
Scene talks. We explore the shadows, walking through both